You're watching Your Fiji, Your Voice, a conversation with the Prime Minister, where we put to the Prime Minister questions that have come through our letters to the editor column. This is our online portal program on the Fiji Times. So thank you very much for your time this evening. Just continuing from what you had mentioned earlier on the three goals that you have when considering what your next steps will be in terms of your political career. The Reconciliation Commission, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Region of Peace, and of course the Constitution, amendments to the Constitution. There was a letter by Mr. Anthony Sahai of Levuka Overlau, arming the police. He asks it's time to arm the police in the fight against drugs and set into motion covert ops with the RFMF to hunt down drug lords. Of course, now the concern here is we're going outside in terms of the work that you do externally and promoting a region of peace. In the event that we may have to have soldiers on our streets to assist the police with the work to stopping the trade, the drug trade, what are the risks and benefits, and how would you mitigate the optics around this?
I think there's a very wrong impression that once you talk military, you're talking arms. We're talking numbers really more than arms, because the police manpower is limited. And if we have to increase their presence on the streets and in the execution of their duties of prevention and monitoring, we'll have numbers, but not necessarily armed. We do not take arms when there is no armed element in the criminal element involved in what we're trying to fight. So we have to respond accordingly in the same scale. So I'm looking at if we have to invoke the powers of the various laws and constitution to deploy the military personnel. It will all be personnel and transportation means to assist and boost the police presence or policing presence in on the streets, etc. At the same time, we have to beef up our surveillance capabilities at the ports of entry, airports and seaports, as well as find out from our international friends whether, for example, what we found last year, whether all those came through an airport or all of it came through the seaport, and whether they came all at once or in dribs and drabs. And as I mentioned to the people in the at the International Customs Day function, I jokingly referred to that old song, Who Let the Dog Out? And I asked them, who let the drug in? So it is a question that we as legislators, as the executive, will have to try and find out. At the moment, we cannot really say much because the investigations are still ongoing. Perhaps the investigations are trying to identify personnel or individuals. What I'm interested in is the method of infiltrating our security arrangements at the borders. And perhaps also safeguard the exfiltration routes that they could have used if they were not found out. Where was that destined for? For example, a big hole was made in was it Spain recently, and alleged to be labeled Fiji, that they were on their way to Fiji. It was on its way to Fiji. What if they had not found them there? Would they have exfiltrated the borders of that country and tried to infiltrate ours? These are the things that are pretty high-level strategic thinking and planning that our police and our military planners will have to be talking about. And I, as Minister for Foreign Affairs, will be liaising very closely with our development partners on how we can intercept this before they even get into Fiji territorial waters.
Another concern is you may have seen reports the increasing statistics on the HIV/AIDS crisis. We have the ongoing challenges in our hospitals, medicine shortages. These are raising serious concerns. And have you met with the line minister to discuss how are we going to effectively address these issues? Because these are the issues that people are going to be thinking about come 2026.
Yeah. We're also looking to the people to give us the answers. Who is involved in this? These are people who rely on people. One group of people are the young people, perhaps, and some maybe not too young, who are involved in the activities that lead to that condition. But how did they get there? Who has allowed it to get to be that bad? Have we not been controlling these people in our families? Have we not been controlling these people in our schools and these people on the streets? So it's a whole of society, whole of community question that we will have to resolve, to answer. And the police and the military, they're going to be deployed without arms onto the streets. They will have to be very clear. What are we looking for? What sort of substances are we looking for? How do we know it is that or it is that? When it comes to the health part of it, health is only the result of the delivery of the substance. If they're using needles to inject the substance into the bloodstreams of people, then how do we try and intercept them before they get into the needle? How do we intercept even the needles? How do we make that not so readily available to people on the streets?
Kosa Tatino Tikumai Molatangani's letter on an eyesore. This is another huge problem that we're facing in the country. The way we just litter and we see rubbish everywhere, waste management. He's actually commending the work of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment on the National Anti-Litter Campaign. Waste management and pollution remain pressing issues. Is this an area you've asked the new line minister to knuckle down on?
Yes, I've asked Honorable Bultau to really go hard on that. And if you remember, in the last debate in Parliament, we were talking about increasing the penalties for those that commit offenses against the Litter Act, or the Anti-Litter Act. I asked the question, another personal question, another society question, another community question. Who litters? Nobody would like to put their own rubbish into their own kitchen and keep them there. And neither in the sitting room, much even less in the bedroom. But that's what we're doing to our country. It's our country, and we're putting out this rubbish not out, but into remaining in our country. So that government part on the proper solution to littering, whether it's landfill or whether it cannot be incineration now because of the carbon print that we leave, footprint. So they are all things that will have to be considered by us as policymakers, and Michael and Honorable Moore will have to give us the advice on how we manage that area of concern in our society.
Taina Mondrau, a landowner, describes her struggle with selling her residential subdivision. One of the lots is a market value of $90,000. However, it's sold at $40,000. The buyer, she says, is prepared to proceed with transfer, but TLTB premium would cost around $39,000, while the only compensation she will receive is $700. Additionally, she has to account for capital gains tax of 10% on the sale price, which is about another $4,000. This does not include her attorney fees. How are landowners expected to survive under substantial premium amounts? And what is your government doing about landowners being ripped off for selling land?
I will not call it a rip-off because it is always there. Those of us who have sold freehold properties have gone through the taxation systems. We have paid those taxes. I sold something last year and cost me $500,000 in tax. So the tax is there for everybody. So you cannot say that somebody has been ripped off. I was not able to, just now I'm not able to work out the logic between a $40,000 sale and all those high taxes. Is it $40,000 per unit? It is a residential subdivision. So how many lots in that subdivision? And they were going for how much? So I couldn't work out the mathematics of that. And but I can only say to Ms. Monroe is that the taxes are there, the blanket, the standard, and also the legal fees. That's a deal between the vendor and and whoever is going to be doing the work. They're selling the work to her, and she either accepts or not, and so on. So. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a ripoff.
So given the economic challenges that many people are facing, what is your response, or how would you explain away the decision to increase pay for members of parliament? Do you think this move was appropriate? What is the cost to your government in terms of the decision that's been made and the public outcry?
The cost has been our image, the financial cost. We have managed to resolve by redeployment of funds, and whether we are reducing any of the essential areas of our budget. And I go straight back to the infrastructure, health infrastructure, roads and bridges and things like that. And although we budgeted for the maintenance and improvement of roads and bridges, we did not anticipate the effect of weather on what we already had existing. So those that are brought on by climate change and the effects of climate change on us, more severe rain, more severe winds, are not budgeted for. So we'll have to be more, we have to build up. And the only way to build up our economy is to increase our production. And the only way to increase our production is what do we have? We have our natural resources, just capitalize those and increase their value as far as the national production is concerned. Our GDP, our GNP is okay, and we're relying on those investments that are made outside our borders. But locally, what can we do locally to increase our domestic productions? That is where we all play a part. Hopefully we can properly implement the plans that the Agriculture Ministry has put in place, and pray hard for not to get all those devastating storms and things that interfere with our infrastructure. The good thing I see is recently, when I saw a picture, I realized that we have not been dealt a good deal by those that built those roads. I saw that the ceiling has been very, very thin, and it was very easy for one rain to break the seal, get under, and cause the top surface to just erupt. And we have those potholes growing in numbers and dimensions very, very quickly.
So the other issue, of course, is the 15% VAT. You're going into 2026 again, election year. Will there be a political will on your part to bring this down in the next budget announcement?
Well, we had the 15 effective during this budget, and this budget year finishes in the middle of next year, which is election year. Whatever we do, the people will say it's an election budget. Whether we reduce it because of the need to reduce it, because the people are crying out and the cost of living, take-home pay, and what's left with the take-home pay after they pay a visit to the shops. So it's something that it's a dilemma on our part, and but I believe that it can be done. I've been talking to the Minister of Finance, who is a very astute economist, but economists do not necessarily constitute the kind of people that the public want to be looking after their well-being, their welfare. So what the Minister of Finance comes up with is what is good for the country. And what we are trying to tell him is, look, it may be good for the country, it may look good in our books, but the people are struggling. And that is the decision we have to make. Unfortunately, the decision will take place next year, in June and July next year, and it is election year, so the people will say, just an election gimmick.
So, on the subject of the Minister for Finance, you had given away some of your portfolios because of the workload. Is that an expectation you probably will have with him? He also holds several portfolios as well.
At the moment, he's doing it pretty well. He has a very good Deputy Prime Minister. There are certain areas there that we all participate in. For example, the trade and investment with the Minister for Trade and micro and medium enterprises. And on my part, the public enterprises, where we all contribute to his role as Minister of Finance.
So, of course, the discussions around political stability and your confidence in the People's Alliance, your confidence in the four parties that now make up the coalition government.
Three-party.
The three parties that make up the coalition government.
And a group of independents.
And a group of independents. So going into 2026, how are you handling or addressing internal and external pressures?
Well, as far as the internal pressures are concerned, I do not see them as pressure. I see them as succession and probably personal ambitions. We all within one party. We have a common manifesto that we stand on as politicians belonging to one party. As far as their jockeying for position, to take over, that is a natural process. When it's time for the pacemaker to move out, and the rest will come up and dictate the pace to the rest of the field. And so I'm not worried about the internal perceived competition and maneuvers. I'm more concerned about our collective efforts in keeping this ship afloat and going in the same direction that we had set off with the three founding coalition partners. And we have been blessed with the willingness of the 9 who have joined us to go the course with us and keep the same ship staying afloat for the rest of the journey.
So if I remember correctly, going into 2022, the general election, you had hinted at probably making it clearer for the people of Fiji a successor. Your decision to continue into 2026, are you saying that you feel that no one is ready yet to take up the helm from here?
Perhaps it's the fact that it's for the party to decide. I think I have more than one. I have 3 or 4 possible successors. And it's up to the party to see which of these is the most suitable. But most capable, probably all equal. But most suitable will be the decision for the party to make.
We are now seeing more and more pictures of the former Prime Minister Vorenga Bainimarama shared by the former Attorney General Ayasaid Kayum. Is it something that concerns you, that this is picking up momentum on social media?
No, I'm not concerned. I am embracing it as a demonstration of how fair this government is. We do not try and victimize. We do not try and kick somebody when they're already down.
With no polls to go by, how are you gauging your government's performance? Public sentiment is suggesting growing dissatisfaction with the work. How are you addressing this, and are you still confident in your leadership?
I have a list that grows every week. And the list is on what people say in your letters to the editor and other areas where they voice their concerns, from the Tikina council meetings, going up to the provincial council meetings, observations of the police, courtroom and court news that comes out of the various courts. Those are the things that I convey to the ministers. These are the areas we need to look after. As far as crime is concerned, these are the areas of biggest concern. As far as health is concerned, I try and see what's happening in that area. People complaining about the medicine supply and equipment, and also we hear every day of the complaints about salaries and wages and allowances. So those are the things that I hear and also convey to the ministers to see if they can address, if they can even get political mileage out of it. Go ahead. We may be putting in a bridge that is really required and needed. We should not be taking any political credit for it. It is something that the people need. So we're just doing our job in addressing the needs of the people.
So will you be, if you're summoned, will you be appearing before the commission? And my question is, how do we trust that what you say is going to be the truth?
How do you know that what you think is the truth? And what I say is not the truth. So hear me out and make your own opinion. I will swear to say everything, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Would you encourage former military officers to take the stand that you take and appear before the commission?
Former military officers, yes. The current military officers, not guilty of anything I did.
Do you expect them as in terms of a responsibility to the country and to the nation?
Yes, they may be. Which officers?
Former military officers,
Yeah,
sir. And I'm particularly also thinking about the former Prime Minister, Vorenga Bainimarama, of course, Colonel Neville Urua, who's now the Minister, Ambassador Tarakini Kini. Would you be urging them to also, if they can, appear before the commission?
No, I'll just tell them, look, I have done it. I hope you can do it. I cannot even urge them or ask them. They'll just have to play on their own conscience.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Naka.